New homes may seem shiny and perfect, but that doesn't mean they're problem-free. We have Tabitha here today, and we are going to be talking about all the things you might want to know if you're thinking about buying a new build. Thanks for being here, Tabitha.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right. So, fact or fiction? New builds are brand new, so they're perfect.
Wrong. Fiction. I mean, the fact is, builders are throwing these things up as fast as possible. It's really all about volume, not really about quality. So, construction quality is just significantly less than it used to be. Hans Coleman, our favorite home inspector, he's always saying, he looks at a ton of homes and he's always saying that the homes built in the 50s and 60s are the ones that have the most solid construction.
So, what should buyers know about these new builds?
I think the number one thing buyers should know if they're going to go look at new builds is that they're going to ask you to put your name on the sign-in sheet when you get there. And when you do that, you should definitely say that you have an agent or that you have representation, right? And we talked about this at open houses too, but this is even more important in new builds because even if you haven't already selected a realtor, you need to do that quickly if you're seriously moving towards a new build. Because new builds, once you start the process with them of buying, a lot of times they will not let you bring in a buyer's agent if you did not tell them that you had a buyer's agent when you first got there. So super important.
Why would you need a buyer's agent for that?
Well, the contracts that you're signing with new builds are significantly different than the contracts that we use with all the other homes, all the resales, right? And so it's important to have somebody who can advocate for you and negotiate on your behalf. Otherwise, you're just completely at the mercy of the builder as far as what's going on in the deal. Let me ask you this. Which contract would you rather sign? The contract that was written by lawyers, approved by the Colorado Real Estate Commission, and has a bunch of built-in protections for buyers because there's more than 20 ways to get out of that contract and keep your earnest money, right? Or would you like to sign a contract that is written by the builder's lawyers to protect the builder?
Definitely the former.
Yeah. So, if you're dead set on a new build, I'm not saying like no one should buy a new build. Like, obviously, it's nice to have something that's nice and shiny, right?
Uh-huh.
But you want to be aware of the risks, And so if you have a good realtor who's good at contracting, they can look through that builder's contract and point things out to you that are important to know. Like, when your earnest money goes hard. That hard earnest money, which is just our way of saying that it's no longer refundable. They're keeping it after it goes hard. So this is an interesting story. Like, I went in with a buyer and she wanted to sign the contract to buy, and the earnest money, like as I started looking through that contract, the earnest money went hard after 7 days. So after 7 days, like no matter what happened, they weren't going to give her that money back. But the kicker was that she didn't even know what her final price was yet because like she knew what the base price was, but had not gone to the design center to pick out all the finishings and then get a final price for what she was getting. And so because I pointed that out and what a problem that is, like you're asking my client to sign a contract and have their earnest money go hard before they even know how much they're spending. Are you kidding me right now? Like, it sounds so crazy to me. So they will not change the contract, because they need a team of lawyers to change anything in their contract. But what they did do was they found her an appointment at the design center before her earnest money went hard so that she would know what the final price was. I mean, managing these contract deadlines is just one of the most important jobs that we're doing. So, I mean, making sure your realtor has good project management skills is a smart move.
So a good realtor, huh?
A good realtor. I mean, honestly, like buying from the builder is like buying from a dealership. You're buying from a corporation. There's not an individual, and there's not a lot of negotiations happening with these builders, but they do have something that the other homes don't. They will have like lender incentives and deals and specials. So they might even do an interest rate that's a full percentage point or more lower than what you can get anywhere else. So, I mean, there are advantages to buying a new build, but you're definitely going to be using their lender. Especially if you're taking advantage of like lender incentives, you're going to be required to use their lender. And so you're going to be signing an ABA or an affiliated business arrangement disclosure saying that the lender and the builder are in cahoots.
Okay.
And maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it for 1% less on your mortgage rate, So that's a decision everybody has to make for themselves.
Right.
I mean, the salesperson at the new build place is going to take you through the process, but they're not going to deviate from it that much, and it's not in favor of the buyer. Like, you really need a buyer's agent to be advocating for you.
That makes sense, though. So if they don't have a buyer's agent currently, like, and they don't put that down on the paper, then too, you said that they won't let you bring one in at that point?
Right. Or you can bring in somebody if you can get them to work for you for free, or if you want to pay your buyer's agent out of your own pocket. But if you want the builder to pay your buyer's agent, you have to tell the builder on day one when you're at their place that you have an agent.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're just like, too bad, so sad.
Oh,
You didn't tell
scary.
us you had one, so you can't have one now. Or at least they're not, like I said, you could have one, but they're not going to pay for it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so fact or fiction. The new build doesn't have anything that it needs fixed, so I don't need an inspection.
Fiction. You totally want to get an inspection. They might try to talk you out of it, though. The salespeople at the new build office. Yeah, I mean, or if you don't have a buyer's agent, you might just think to yourself, well, it's all brand new. There's no problems, or the city signed off on it. That's what they'll tell you. Well, we've already had to go through an inspection process. The city had to sign off on it to get the certificate of occupancy, so it's fine. Like, they might actively try to talk you out of it. But it's your right to do an inspection, and you can definitely hire an inspector and do an inspection on any new build, and you should, I think.
So what's the difference between base price versus list price?
Ooh, that's a good question. So base price, you're only going to see that on new builds. On all the other homes that are out there for sale, the resale market, you're going to see a list price, and that's the price that the seller is listing it for, right? With new builds, they're listing oftentimes their base price, which is going to be, maybe deceptively low to get you in the door. And then once you get there and they talk you into how great it is and get you to sign the paperwork, now you go to the design center to pick out all your finishes and, what colors do you want? What kind of countertops do you want? Cabinets, the whole deal, right? And a lot of times, every time you pick something, you're adding on to the base price. So then you end up with a total price at the end. And that can be tens of thousands of dollars different from the base price to the finished product price. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars different.
So you have your base model and then you keep adding on to it, throwing everything in your cart kind of thing, and then...
Yeah, and it depends on the builder too, because there's some builders who have like certain packages. And so they'll just go, you pick A, B, or C, but they'll have it called something cool like, pick coral, pick sand, or pick mermaid, package. I don't know. I'm making that up, obviously. But
Sounds good.
yeah, they might, but they'll have different packages. And like in package A, you get these colors and these types of counters and all of that. And package B is this. So some builders are much more easy about pricing, I guess I would say. Or it's not so complicated.
User friendly.
Yeah, it's more user friendly. And I think it's better for them too. Like it helps with their volume because they've got all this stuff that they just throw together in this package. And then they've got 3 different options instead of doing a custom upgrade. Like this house has these cabinets and this floor. And, when you're picking out absolutely everything, that's when it starts to get really expensive. But you can keep your costs down by going with a builder that just offers a package.
Okay, so fact or fiction, there are hidden costs with new builds.
Fact. There are definitely some hidden costs with new builds. Landscaping is a big one. You move into a house that's a resale and somebody's already lived there, somebody's already done the yard. It might not be in the greatest shape, but it's there, right?
Right.
A lot of times, now some builders, some packages, right, will include some landscaping, but it might only be the front landscaping and then you're responsible for the back landscaping. What else? Appliances. You might need to add on, or your new build house may not come with a fridge. It may not come with a washer dryer. They may not have a dishwasher. I think the only appliance that they have to have in there to sell it and move you in is the stove, the oven. So you might be on the hook for, maybe several thousand in appliances. Of course, landscaping might run into the thousands. Window coverings, that's another one. You're going into that place, and this is the same with fix and flips too. A lot of times on fix and flips, you walk into the place, everything looks brand new and you think it's great. And you don't even realize until you move in, like there's no shades, there's no blinds, there's no nothing. And now you got to go out and buy all that stuff, all the window covering stuff.
So how does that work then with the HOAs? So if the new builds have like an HOA in the like subdivision or whatever, then and the HOAs like require certain landscaping or to be had or whatever, like
Oh, for
would that
sure.
not like affect that? Like as for being required?
Are you saying that you think that they should just do it so that it's up to the HOA
Yeah.
standards? Well, wouldn't that be nice? No, all they have to do is write their standards and then everyone has to follow
You
them.
just have to buy it at least to the standards.
hmm Well, and also I just saw a notice on a deal the other day that we got the HOA status letter back, and there was a note in there that said, like, this house is in potential violation, a potential landscaping violation. It's past the due date of backyard landscaping. It was supposed to be done I think it was within 2 years of having bought the home. Well, now we're 5 years down the road and the back landscaping was never done. So now we're trying to sell the house and the HOA is like, you were supposed to do your landscaping. Like, so I don't know if they're going to like try to go after the buyer for that after the buyer moves in or what.
Interesting. Yeah, see? That's what I'm like.
Yeah, all kinds of little things you just never really think about. Speaking of things you don't really think about. So, people hear about the MLS, right?
Mhm.
We generally know that that's where all the homes are that are for sale. And I'll even tell people that. The MLS is where all of us realtors put all of our listings. All of the listings are in the MLS. But not true for new builds. New builds may put 1 or 2 of their listings on the MLS, but generally they're not keeping a full inventory on the MLS. You actually have to go over there or call them and find out what they're in. Again, it's sort of like a car dealership. Like they have a list of all the homes and the lots, that are available for sale right now and what their prices are.
Mhm.
And the prices are changing all the time. All the time. I think that they're adjusting it based on policies, inventory, their perception of the market. So the thing that's really interesting about that is that you could close on a house in a new build community, and then you could see the exact same one, same model, same finishes, everything, close a week later for significantly more or significantly less than how much you just closed, because maybe they went under contract when the pricing was different. So it could be years before you really start building up equity in a new build community. And sometimes it's years before the entire community is even built.
Right.
You know, from the time that the first people move into the first homes to the time that the last one is built and sold, like that can even be years. So they're fluctuating this pricing the whole time. So once that's all done, I feel like then that neighborhood can sort of start to be established
Right.
and start the appreciation process. So a new build might not really be a great idea if you know you're not going to be there for a long time. I mean, we talk about real estate being a long-term investment anyway, but I think it's even more important when you're talking about new builds.
So would a new neighborhood potentially increase in value more quickly than an established neighborhood?
Possibly, especially if you're like one of the first people to move in, that could definitely be the case because by the time they're selling the last homes and you got in early, now they've been raising their price the whole time they've been selling, so you have that equity already. And then you continue to gain equity, but there's just so many factors that go into that. You know, I think the location is a big deal. You know, where is it? What else is going on? What other infrastructure and building is happening in that new neighborhood? Um, so again, like my favorite answer, right? It depends.
For sure. What's the most important thing that a buyer should know if they want to buy a new build?
I think that they should hire a buyer's agent who's good with contracts. I think that's their number one step and the most important thing that they could do as they are making that decision and going through that process. I think that's the best thing they can do.
So hire a good realtor.
Wink, wink. Tabitha, thanks so much for being here today. We talked about all the things that we think you should know if you're thinking about buying a new build. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
If you like this content and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.